Welcome to Caring for New Braunfels with Dr. Jessica Bordon. Dr. Jessica Bordon is a functional podiatrist at Functional Podiatry Care here in New Braunfels. I'm Jody Hinkel. At Caring for New Braunfels, it is our goal to educate and connect the people in our community to care that is right here in our own backyard. In Caring for New Braunfels, the 4 stands for body, mind, spirit, and passion. We also shine the light on great nonprofits that are providing services to help people in need and how you can volunteer to pitch in. Our first segment this week is the body segment. In this segment, DJ and I sit down with Stretch Labs' Austin Brown and talk about how important range of motion is and how they are helping clients like me get it back. I'm very happy to welcome to the show Austin Brown from Stretch Lab. Thanks for being with us today.
It is an honor to be here with you guys. Really, I love what I do and I love talking about what I do. So I'm really excited to just kind of educate people on, some of the ways that we can benefit the community. So how did you guys first hear about Stretch Lab and what it is that we do?
How did you find out about Stretch Lab?
I told you about them.
Maybe you did.
A patient.
A patient has probably asked you, is this something that's right for me?
I had a patient, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I had a patient that had gone to you, and I live right there, kind of where you guys are. Mm-hmm. So I saw you guys were coming, and then he shared the information with me.
First time I saw you guys was in that Facebook video, but anyway, which I liked.
Whatever.
Anyway.
I told you.
Really?
I think, maybe you did. We'll just say yes, she did.
Your phone.
Ladies are almost.
Your phone heard me say Stretch Lab, and then it showed up on Facebook. Yeah. No, just kidding. Okay.
I like it.
I'm just excited you guys are here, and I love that you said that you want to educate us because that is what Jody and I are here for. I think that as a podiatrist, range of motion is incredibly important, and you get those camps of people who don't necessarily believe that we need that range of motion. And then you get the camps of people that I fall into in that functional medicine, functional podiatry, functional body side of things where, no, we really need the range of motion to prevent your compensation and thus pain. So share with us a little bit about what is Stretch Lab? What do you do? I know you guys do things differently. I've heard super exciting things. I'm excited to try it out. So what happens when someone walks in at Stretch Lab?
I tried it out the other day.
Yeah. Anyway. Well, I mean, honestly, just a great foundational question, right? So what we do at Stretch Lab is we are a one-on-one assisted stretching service. Those sessions that we provide last 25 and 50 minutes in duration. And someone like me with a background in health and body work, personally, I'm a personal trainer. I've got years of experience working with people one-on-one with, a few different certifications under my belt. And that can be someone from massage therapy school, yoga training, or someone who tends to focus on that fitness, functional mobility aspect, kind of like me. So I'm happy that we see eye to eye there. During that session, we guide your body through different positions that are designed to reduce muscle tension, increase in mobility in your joints, and help reduce the aches and quakes of everyday life. And over time, lengthening that muscle is going to help reduce the amount of compensation that we see in our everyday life. Not only do we just stretch you, but we employ a type of stretch called a PNF stretch. You may be familiar. Essentially, that PNF is a press and release technique that helps build better neural circuits into the muscle, and then also helps us get a deeper stretch, but without as much discomfort.
Fantastic. And so what do you think that, these questions are always hard to answer, but what is the average time per week or times per week do you suggest that people come to see the greatest benefit? Because we were just sharing with another interviewee that when you stop, the body wants to go back to what it was, whether that's mental health or physical form or anything like that. So what is your recommendation on how often someone should come?
That's such a good question. And when I get asked questions like that, I'm sure you understand I'm always going back to the research, right? I know it can be hard once we see progress. We tend to take our foot off of the gas pedal, but if you take your foot off the gas pedal, you might as well be hitting the brake, right?
Right.
So generally speaking, every muscle group that you want to see an increase in range of motion for, you should be stretching around 5 minutes a week. So if you wanted to see increase in your shoulder mobility or your hamstrings, you would want to stretch that particular muscle group for 5 minutes, and what that looks like is maybe 2 sets of 30-second stretches, maybe 5 days a week. And so it really doesn't take that much effort to increase your range of motion. Now, just maintaining can be different for every person. With that being said, everyone's got a different foot, everyone's got a different personality, and so that's where someone like me would like to get a little bit more hands-on. And generally speaking, we see people about once to twice a week.
So it was such a cool experience. I went last Friday and got stretched for the first time, something I had been wanting to do for a while. And I was college athlete slightly. I rode the bench a lot. That's what I did in college for playing lacrosse.
You mean your muscles got super tight?
Yeah, I mean, that's probably where it started, right? Was sitting on the bench playing lacrosse. But no, I mean, over time, I've noticed my mobility, especially my hamstrings. Oh my gosh, so tight.
It's not you, it's everybody.
It's everybody.
We're all suffering from that.
And in fact, I posted on Facebook about my experience there. And my buddy's like, I have the tightest hamstrings in the history of the world. Can they help me out? So I just want to tell about my experience real quick. First of all, it blew my mind, the science, okay? And I'm not a science guy. I'm the other side of the brain. I don't even know enough which side's right or left, as
the
far
right
as...
side.
Okay.
Which one is it?
Yeah, so I'm not a science guy at all. But, the fact that you guys had me stand in front of this... scanner or whatever you would call it.
Oh, yeah, the MAPS machine.
Yeah, and had me do a couple exercises. And it was amazing how accurate it was at telling me what my issues are in my body. So in 8th grade, I was on the baseball field, tore some ligaments in my ankle, and I knew it was there. But the machine saw that I had an issue in that ankle. First, we go through that where it analyzes my body just from doing a couple of exercises. And I was blown away by that. But the thing that really blew me away was Rachel.
Really?
She was so much fun. And she was so good. So she has a sports medicine background. She was telling me I used to work in college athletics.
Cool.
She just really put me at ease. And when I left there, it was probably the best I'd felt in many, many years. I had so much more range of motion.
That's so amazing. And first of all, that MAPS machine, I like to tell people, she's a tough grader. So definitely the toughest professor ever. I think the highest I've ever seen is an 81, and it does go out of 100. So,
I think I had 102. No.
Oh, get out of here.
No,
so what did you, were we able to target some of the areas of...
Oh, she was amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So, for example, you talked about the kinds of stretching. It was amazing. She would get me to the point on the initial stretch to where it was like a 7. She said, okay, so tell me when it's a 7. And so she'd hold it there for a second, and then she would like do a little bounce thing, and then I'd go back. By the end of the session, I was like, I remember I used to be flexible. I used to have mobility here. And it was nice because I'm not exaggerating. I hadn't felt that kind of range or flexibility in a while. And that was amazing. But I always go back to something, and I know that I'm excited. So I'm just going on.
I was just about to say he's not been at the edge of his seat for the last hour.
Oh,
this is so cool. He's so excited.
I'm excited for us.
So I used to do a lot of yoga back in the day. It's been a long time ago.
It's music to
used to do
ears.
Bikram, right? So, which was amazing. And I had this lady, she was about 76 years old, looked like she was 50, and she was probably in the best shape of anybody I knew. And I was talking to her one day about yoga and her passion. She was a yoga instructor. Her passion for teaching people yoga. And it came back to one simple thing. You're only as old as you are flexible. And I can tell you that has stuck with me. Maybe I haven't always kept that so important in my life. But that's what I took away from that session with you guys is when I left there, I felt so much more flexible than I had in a really long time.
Wow.
Do you hear that?
I haven't heard it phrased like that, but what you're really elegantly describing is that P&F cycle and the way that it helps increase range of motion and build stability. And if I can elaborate a little bit on that, if you are hypermobile but have no structure, no stability, then I don't think that will serve you very well. And likewise, if you are incredibly strong but muscle bound and restricted, you're not going to move with that much efficiently as well. And so that's one of the benefits of having that flexibility. We can build stability and build range of motion at the same time. And that's one of the beautiful things about having that one-on-one work. So you may be coming in looking for a little bit of extra mobility, but someone who's in gymnastics may need to control or harness that movement a little bit more. So think of your flexibility like a Ferrari. If it goes too far too quickly, we can't harness that movement. And so it's like, well, how well can you drive that? And what we do is we teach people how to drive their body. And we're really excited about being able to do that.
Because if you go too fast, then it's unstable, right?
It's completely unstable and it's dangerous, right? You reach out and get a cup of coffee, you pull your shoulder muscle, right? Or, one of the many that are actually in there, right? So it's pretty exciting to hear you describe that. And Rachel's fantastic. We have a ball. I don't think I can ever stop laughing in front of her.
Yeah, she's really fun. She's almost as funny as me.
I think I believe that. I think I do believe that.
I think that's fantastic that you went and had like an excellent experience, that it made sense to you scientifically, even though you're right-brained, and that they were very personable. Like that's an excellent place to be.
Oh yeah,
for a facility.
And it really sounded like you said right-sprained instead of right-brained, which I think probably makes more sense in my case.
Right-sprained is fine. Speaking of, is that which ankle was sprained or no?
Left, actually. But...
Oh, was it?
Yeah. It still sounds good.
Do you run into a lot of mobility issues in your practice and with your patients? I mean, what kind of...
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
I talk mobility all day to my patients. So
Right.
I do what I call functional podiatry. So, it's all about getting the body to function the way it should. And when we have a more stable foot, then we have less injuries, but it doesn't always arise from the foot, right? So like you were talking about tightening up, most of us have entirely weak glutes and restricted range of motion in our hamstrings and our hips, things like that. So, that's why my next question to you was going to be, how much do you see where people are like, but my problem isn't my hips? And it's like, no, it really is, because that's where you're restricted and that's kind of where we're driven from. So we're going to work on this too. If you guys compartmentalize like that, or if you're kind of working on the whole body. But I am constantly talking to my patients that you've got to get the strength back in our small muscles and you have to get the range of motion back in your entire body. Otherwise, your body compensates and then you get pain and overuse.
Absolutely. So it's so refreshing to hear someone say that and not just say like, well, here, let me give you an insert that's going to support your foot. It's like, well, let's strengthen the body. Let's fortify those muscles and let's get you moving with efficiency. And then if that isn't working for you, because everyone's different, then we can look at different alternatives, right? I often see a lot of the similar things with you. And so it's nice to hear that someone in the medical profession is experiencing some of those same things. And so having that partnership and kind of this unity between people who are in the service and health and fitness industry makes me feel like we are all saying the same things. And eventually, if you hear something enough times, it's going to sink in, right? So that's pretty exciting.
The community is going to get it. It's huge for me. It's changed the way I've practiced since I've focused more on this. 10 years ago, people would look at me sideways when I would tell them what we're going to do. And if they were a second opinion, I would say, how well did your first opinion work out for you? You're here. So you can either do this for a month or go back to what you're doing that didn't work out. And, sure enough, they'd come back in a month later going like, oh my gosh, you were right. And same thing with orthotics. When someone comes into me initially and they're like, I want an insert, I tell them, you've come to the wrong podiatrist, but let me tell you why. And this is what we need to do. And strength and mobility is all part of my discussion, especially for like the 10-year-old that comes in with the dad saying they're overpronate. And I have this long conversation about that. So I agree, you are probably the first business that I have ever referred to without A, meeting you, and B, meeting you. So I have like huge loyalty to everyone I refer to. Really? I usually refer to one place. I have one physical therapist. I use one surgical rep. The list goes on. But I found value in you guys based on really just what one person told me, one patient. And because of my knowledge and how important it is for me that people get stretched out, I've been able to, share, hey, this new company is open and you should go check them out. So I'm excited to experience what Jody did and to go and, like I say, experience it myself. Yeah.
We are excited to host you for sure. And I'm sure it's similar in many different fields, but it's like one of those, I guess the deep need to help people is that if you help one person in your lifetime, that's enough.
Yes.
And I've had the pleasure of helping so many different people move better after car accidents that were debilitating, like could have taken these people's lives. And what a blessing it is that they trust me with their health and with their body. Right. And just to be able to experience that over and over again, I mean, it's kind of a blessing, right? So we can't wait. And your loyalty means so much to us.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But come try it first.
Pretty smart, though. He's knowledgeable.
I'd like to think, I may have learned a thing or two, but it's the more you know, the more you know you don't know.
Yeah.
Here's right. I can tell that you're a really smart, intelligent guy, but the thing that I really enjoy about you have such a good, joyful vibe.
And you're very well spoken.
So there's one thing that I really want to know.
Yeah.
What's your passion?
I think your passion is going to change depending on your interest at the time, right?
Okay.
Passion, I think, is something that comes from within. And I think we're always looking for what is my passion instead of just understanding that passion follows interest, right? So the person that you may see at the time on Valentine's Day, maybe that's your passion at the time and you pour your love and energy into that. And then once it's stable and it's committed and you've built something, then you shift your passion into something else, like playing music. I love to play music.
Okay.
And so I think that passion isn't in other things. I think that we provide the passion, and you can't be passionate about something you're not interested in. So I think that that's probably the best answer. But people, I like helping people.
I can tell.
Yeah. That's a great question. What are you guys passionate about? I'm like, let's make that a two-way street.
I'm really passionate about asking people questions. No, my passion really is, I just want to love people and serve them, especially in the business community. I think that I've always had a heart for business. I don't know. That's a big thing for me.
Wow. I mean, that's insightful too. Were you a middle child? Were you a youngest child?
I'm the baby.
You were the baby? Okay. Interesting. Normally you find that in different age groups.
Yeah.
I'm curious though.
Okay.
And what passion do you think that you've got?
So I am also the baby by 4 minutes because I have a twin. But I would say my passions are similar. I mean, health by far is my first love and passion. You know, it's interesting that you say that you have to like what you're passionate about, which there's some, truth to that, I do believe. But health, serving people, making people feel loved, helping people, all of that, same thing.
Yeah.
It just, comes with who I am. It's part of why I chose my profession. I think my profession and what I like doing and love doing has little to do with podiatry and everything to do with making people feel better.
Yeah. Right.
I can see that. And service.
Service.
I think that's big for you.
Is I think such an integral part of the human condition. Like I've never met someone who's self-serving who feels fulfilled, right? You often talk about these starving artists who are crooning, and I used to kind of identify with that archetype myself, to be honest. And then I realized that when I expanded my focus a bit outwards, that it kind of changed who I was inside. And I think that that's something that we are all missing kind of as a society today. It's like a look at me, look
Absolutely.
at me, when we could really be looking at like, well, look at the state of where we're at and like, what can you provide? And I think that when we start to move into that production mindset, like you and like you, and that inspires me to continue doing some of the things that we do over at Stretch Lab. But
very cool.
It's pretty exciting.
Speaking of Stretch Lab, tell us how the folks can find out more about you and set up an appointment.
Oh my gosh. We're all over Facebook and Instagram, so you can definitely just type in Stretch Lab and follow some of our fun content. With that being said, you can always reach us at 830-455-4614. That'll reach me and my team. We love talking with you, so we'll make sure that we, give you as much attention as possible and answer all those questions. You can also reach me at New Braunfels at stretchlab.com. And so that'll come to me, Austin, directly, and I will take care of you from start to finish.
I'll tell you what, this has been such a fun experience. Thanks for being a part of this. I think we're going to help a lot of people, and I've had a lot of fun. It's
been an honor to chat with you guys. And if you have any questions, I'm absolutely here to help out.
Awesome. Thanks, man.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We will have you back.
Yeah.
Really? Oh my gosh.
sure.
You're an
Awesome.
honor to be back.
Well, I could talk to you for an hour.
Please. Oh
Jody's like, be quiet. It's time.
The next segment is our Mind segment. In this segment, we talk with River City Advocacy and Counseling Center's Counseling Program Director, Renee White, about how they are caring for our veterans. So, Renee, I definitely appreciate you being with us today. I love what you guys do and what your program does for veterans. Tell the folks at home about your programs there at River City Advocacy.
Okay, River City Advocacy and Counseling Center. We have two main focuses, but the absolute main focus is mental health overall. We have our counseling program where we provide counseling to individuals, families, couples on a sliding scale, fee basis, so that no one who needs mental health will go without because of cost. And then we have our peer support program, which encompasses all of our groups, support groups, life skills class. We have an art room that I think is what sets us apart from every other program out there, because it's open during the week and people can just come in and do what we call art therapy in their own way of creating. We provide all art supplies for people, or they can bring in their own. So we have those two parts of our house, as we call it, our peer support side and then the counseling.
Very cool. Mm-hmm. This is kind of like the mental health section of our show. Mm-hmm. And it's so important. I know that I have friends that have PTSD, that are bipolar PTSD, and a lot of that came up whenever they were in the military or getting out of the military. You're a veteran, right?
I am a veteran of the United States Air Force.
Awesome. Well, thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Is this something that we're seeing more and more with our veterans coming out of service, or is it just we didn't notice it before?
I'm going to say it's a little bit of both. Because especially if we look back to like Vietnam, we had a lot of people return from Vietnam with PTSD, but we didn't call it PTSD back then. And since Vietnam, we've had little campaigns overseas that would affect people. And, it was still not quite talked about, but it still affected people to serve. And then when Desert Storm came, and then it seemed like we've been in a continuous in the Middle East since then, many of our military members coming back suffer from PTSD, and they don't even know it. They have symptoms of other things in the mental health field, but when you put it all together, it is PTSD. One of the things I always say when I would talk to any soldier that came back or any military member, if they tell me they didn't sleep, that was a cue right there that they were struggling with something. So to answer your question, we have a lot more, because the other thing is a lot more people are surviving wars now than they did before. That aftercare is really important. And PTSD is kind of an umbrella diagnosis for all of the mental health symptoms that come from when you're in a high stress environment for any extended period of time.
Do y'all have any veteran counselors there that have been through similar experiences, or, to help the veterans with PTSD?
You mean veterans with PTSD that work with us?
The counselors themselves.
No, I don't have the diagnosis of PTSD, but I am a veteran.
But I'll tell you what's interesting is that brings up a really good point of why your peer program is so important. One of the best ways to help somebody else in the same way helping yourself, right? I mean, let me restate that. The best way to help somebody else, or I don't even know what it is. Yeah. Basically, by helping somebody else, you help yourself, or whatever.
Absolutely. And I see. I know what you're saying, because people, when they feel useful and helpful, it helps them. And I think that what you're saying. So in the groups, I have a LPC associate who is in charge of our veterans group. He actually facilitates it, and he has been. He was in the Army, and so, and of course, not with combat, but people who come in that have combat, they support each other, and that's why it's more of a peer support group, but facilitated. So that by a counselor, so that things that come up, we're there.
I love that your counselors themselves have been in the military, so that you can, understand those similar experiences.
I know that these are serving a great purpose. People that have been through the same experience, maybe the same dramas, or maybe are dealing with different parts of life in the same way. How has it positively affected them?
Well, one of the things is that they keep coming back, even when they're in a good place. And what I see when I do get the chance to sit in on a group or facilitate a group is that one of our, what I call our veteran members, like people who've been in, not necessarily veterans, but veteran members, will be in there and will tell their story and their journey and how coming to the group has helped them. And so someone who may be at the beginning of that journey can see someone who is, further along, and they can connect. So seeing that is what, is why we continue with the groups, and it's open. People who have been coming for years will pop in and, and share that story of the journey, and then and also encourage. They encourage each other. Sometimes I can just sit back and they encourage each other. No one's telling anyone what to do. It's more of a, this is what worked for me, situation, and seeing them make connections with each other is the other part that, I enjoy when I do get to sit in on the group.
I love how you said they keep coming back, because I think it's so important with any aspect of health, including mental health, that you maintain it. And so often in the health industry of any fashion, people will think that they get better, whether that's their pain, their mental health, their sleep, and they stop doing what it took them to get better. And if you want to stay better, you have to keep coming back. And I think that was such a powerful statement, so it shows people that the process works, but it continues to help them stay in that good mental state.
Absolutely. It's maintenance.
It's maintenance.
It's maintenance. And, one of the things we struggle with in the area of mental health is that when people do feel better, they think they don't need it anymore. Even medication.
Yes.
The medication makes them feel better, So they stop, but the connection is you feel better because of the medication. Yes. You know, you feel better in coming to counseling because you have that outlet of someone to just kind of bounce things off of, to keep you accountable to all of those things. So maintenance, I have many clients that are in maintenance right now where they come once a month, they'll just check in because I always leave that open. Mm-hmm. It's never a complete discharge. It's you're doing great, but you know how to get me when you need me.
Or before you need me.
Before sometimes. You, right. So like knowing like if something's coming up, they know they can check in, and that's what I call them actually in my notes, check-ins. And so it's the ones that do that, and I make that very clear that this is open to you, and I encourage people to do that. I encourage people to know they have a place where they can go back and just, kind of make sure they're still on the right track, or, things like that. Nothing, it doesn't have to be major. It could just be life, because we all have life that happens. And it's nice to have an impartial person that you can check in with.
Yeah, I love that.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes just getting it out makes you feel better.
It's one of my favorite things I tell people. You say it out loud, it takes its power away.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. That's
because you're facing it. You're calling it out, and you're like, I recognize what you are.
Mm-hmm. It's no longer something that you're struggling with on the inside. You say it out loud. Now we can make sense of it. We can do something with it.
Absolutely. And when they're at your facility, it's among a trusted group of people. So there's got to, has to be that feeling when people are there and they know that they can trust the ones they're being surrounded with, that hopefully there's more freedom for them to share or say it out loud. It sounds like you guys have a great relationship with your clients in that regard.
We do. And that's one of the things I always say sets us apart, because they become part of us and we become part of their families. And, and they can come in and, like I say, even those who don't come over to me for actual individual counseling, I have a policy where I always tell anyone who uses the art room, you can get 15 minutes with me anytime.
Sure.
As long as you let me know in between, just to, because most of them have therapists and I don't want to, overstep or anything. But sometimes they just need to just kind of talk for a minute.
We all do.
Exactly. So I'm there and we're all a part of the same, organization. So we will do that. We will pull, anyone can pull us aside and talk to us.
One thing I've always been fascinated about RCA is that art room. Because you see people in there being creative. I love creativity. But they're able to be creative. They paint or draw something that they didn't think they had the capability of doing. And just seeing that joy and that confidence grow within them, I think that that's so cool about RCA.
It is. I hear you're an artist too, Jody.
Well, maybe.
Yes, yeah. Art. We were founded on art. The idea of art therapy, and that when you sit and create anything, it's therapeutic. It's therapeutic.
Right. I need to start doing that.
Anything.
I am very left-brained.
See, I'm very right-brained.
So, yes.
I'm a good balance of both, because I started creating, actually, when I started working there, I got back into it. I always thought of myself as not creative,
Sure.
I can put Legos together with instructions. I have all boys, by the way. So with instructions. But if you tell me to make something,
yes.
I'm like, no, I don't know what that is. But since I started there, they had a crochet circle, and I became part of it. Like, okay, I'm ready. I'm getting back in. And so I actually joined in with them, and there. See, I made my earrings.
Nice.
That is awesome. You've grown the other side of your brain. Look at my left side brain saying
exactly, that. Exactly.
Nice.
So that's what happens. You get in there with them, and you just kind of become a part. And like you say, people who never thought they could do certain things, you see them do it. You see how it just improves their confidence, and they leave feeling good because they've created something.
Sounds like such a well-rounded facility.
It's wonderful.
It's awesome.
If there was one thing that you would want people to know about RCA, what would that be?
What is one thing? I want them to know that, one, we care. It's genuine. Those of us who work there, we have a passion for what we do.
Yeah.
We have a genuine desire to help, and I consider it to serve. We don't turn people away. We're across the spectrum. We have no political agenda. We serve everyone. And so that's what I want people to know, that is a place where you can come, where you will not be judged. You will be welcomed. It doesn't matter your political affiliation or non-affiliation, religious affiliation or none. It doesn't matter to us, because we meet you where you are.
We're not specifically talking about this program, but I want to make people know that this program is out there. I served on the board for New Braunfels Pride, and one of the largest suicide rates in the country is our teens in the LGBTQ community. And the fact that you guys provide some place where they can come and express themselves, be themselves, and feel like somebody cares about them is so important. Can you tell us about that program too?
Yes, actually a few years ago, and I believe it was 2019, one of my interns started our teen group. We call it LGB Teen. And every Wednesday, we have a teen group where teens who are part of the community can come. You don't have to be LGBTQI. You can be an A. You can just be an ally to come. And there's a support group. They do art projects. But the thing that I want people to know is that our main focus for this teen group is their mental health.
Yes.
Because of that, the high suicide rate. We focus on their mental health and self-confidence. We don't have an agenda there either. We just want them to be healthy, happy, and whole, and know who they are, whoever they are,
right,
and have a place where they can either figure, because they're teens,
right,
they're all figuring it out, you know?
Absolutely.
And so we want them to have a place where they can figure that out in a healthy environment, and there's no push for anything, and some people were concerned about that, but there isn't. Our main focus is their mental health, and they're all able to get individual counseling with us if they choose to, or they can just come to the group.
You know what I love about that is while they're figuring it out, the thing that they don't have to figure out is that they are loved and they're cared for, and there's somebody that accepts them for who they are.
Absolutely. That's who we are, and that's why we started it, because we found out that there was no place for teens to go in New Braunfels. The closest was Fiesta Youth in San Antonio or probably in Austin, but there was no place in New Braunfels. And so we started this group, and it's been going ever since.
Absolutely.
Every Wednesday night, we're there.
Man, Renee, I could talk to you all day long. So much great information. Can you tell people how they can find out more about RCA?
You can always go to our website at rivercityadvocacy.org. You can call us. Our main number, 830-643-0200, or you can come by and see us. We're at 1614 West San Antonio Street during hours between 9:30 and 3. Our main hours that we're there. Come by. We will give you a tour. We will show you around. We will tell you what we do, and we will welcome you anytime. And anyone can come and see what we do.
Fantastic. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
All right.
And I didn't cry. On the other side of the break, we'll head over to the Comal County Senior Citizens Foundation and talk to Director Ken Lowry about their Meals on Wheels program and how you can volunteer. Welcome back to Caring for New Braunfels. I'm Jody Hinkel. Now I'm joined by the Director of Comal County Senior Citizens Foundation, Ken Lowry. Ken, thanks for joining me.
Glad to be here.
Tell me about the foundation.
The Comal County Senior Citizens Foundation is an organization that is privately owned by the foundation. It is not funded with tax dollars, state, federal, or county. We provide senior services for 55 and older. We are the Meals on Wheels provider for Comal County, Wilson County, Guadalupe County, and Karnes County. We're currently delivering over 14,000 meals a month to homebound and congregate meal recipients.
The Meals on Wheels program offers more than just food to these folks. Tell me what else it provides.
Well, the Meals on Wheels program is there to provide meals to homebound seniors who can't go out and provide the service for themselves. They can't drive, they can't get out. Some of them are unable to cook, and most importantly, our Meals on Wheels volunteer driver may be the only other person that person sees in a day. And when our driver goes to deliver the meal, they greet the recipient, the client. They do a wellness check to make sure they're okay. They make sure that the food that's being delivered is being properly stored and properly eaten at the time they receive it, and just a wellness check. And it's so rewarding to see the smile on those clients' faces when you knock on the door and you hand them that meal. It's camaraderie, it's socialization. I can tell you the little story about one day I was delivering a meal, and it was a Friday afternoon, and the daughter was there with the gentleman to receive the meal, and she says, "Are you going to be able to sit down and sit with him for about 10 or 15 minutes?" Normally the driver comes in and they exchange stories for 10 or 15 minutes. And I said, "Oh my goodness, that is so great. I would love to sit down and talk with the gentleman for a while." And it was just so rewarding. And he had stories to tell of his days in the service and some of his experience. And that's just one of many, many, many stories that our drivers and different people have experienced.
How important are volunteers to the organization?
Volunteers are so important to what we do. If it wasn't for our volunteers, we would not be able to survive. We would not be able to do what we do. I can't say enough about our volunteers. They're angels. They are the lifeblood of what we do.
In what areas do you need volunteers?
Our biggest use of volunteers is in the Meals on Wheels delivery program, and whether a volunteer can do it one day a month, one day a week, or as often as they would like to do it or can do it, it's so important to us to have those volunteers to help us do that. And they can even sign up as a relief driver in the event that a driver calls in and had a doctor's appointment on any given day and they're unable to fill that slot. We can call for a relief driver. The Meals on Wheels is the most important part of our business. I call it the core of our business is the Meals on Wheels program, because we're helping and serving so many seniors in need. But we also use volunteers in our center here to help out, and it can be anything from working at the front desk or coming in and helping to decorate for an event that we're going to have, or just come out and chat with some of our clients. We're starting a program where we're going to have volunteers contact the clients at home on at least a bi-weekly basis, just to call them up and say, "Hi, how are you doing? Are you eating your food the way you should be? Is there anything you need? Is there anything we can do to help you?" So we'll be looking for new volunteers who are willing to sit down and spend an hour a day, a couple days a week on the telephone, just calling some of our homebound clients.
You've talked about how important it is for the people you serve to socialize. It's actually pretty cool that now they get an opportunity to talk to somebody over the phone.
That's so important, just to have somebody to talk to, so you're not sitting there at home all alone and, my words, getting stressed out because you have nothing to do. If you're capable of driving, if you're able to drive and you're a senior, we invite you to come to the center here, because we have activities all day long. Currently we have this one lovely little lady that comes in and puts puzzles together, and she loves sitting by the window just looking out over the pool. In my conversation with her earlier this week, she was saying, "Oh, this is so much more relaxing for me to be able to come here and do this instead of sitting in my little apartment and being bored and being confused." And she said, "I just really enjoy the opportunity to come here." It's important. The socialization is a very important part of the well-being of an elder adult. And we want to provide that avenue of experience for our seniors.
For people that would love to volunteer here, what is the process?
The process is to come in, fill out a volunteer sheet, And you can even specify what it is you would like to do and what your interests are. And if you're a driver and you're going to the homes of some of our clients, we do a background check to make sure it's safe for the client and safe for us and safe for you to do the job that you want to volunteer to do. So if you want to come in and volunteer to do something, and it may not be something that we're currently offering, but you have a great idea for a service, we will listen to you and we will try to expand upon what it is your interests are and move forward with it.
For the folks out there that want to find out more about the Comal County Senior Citizens Foundation and the Meals on Wheels program, what is the best way?
If you are computer literate, which a lot of us are slow at learning how to use that computer, but we do have a very updated and educational website. We also have a Facebook site that you can go to look up the activities. If you're not a computer or a smartphone user, you can always come by the center at 710 Landis Street here in New Braunfels, and we will give you a tour of our facility. We will sit down and talk to you about our programs that we have to offer, and we will get you signed up for what you're interested in.
You guys are doing great work. Thank you for being with me today, Ken.
It was a pleasure, and I'm here for the seniors of New Braunfels and the seniors of Comal County. I want to do what I can to make their lives easier.
I was thinking about it the other day. I met you, I think, for the first time I was in 5th grade. Right?
5th grade.
I had really great hair. Remember how great my hair was? Anyway, but it was...
Still great, man.
Yeah,
I'm
really easy. But 5th grade. And then you were my youth pastor.
Right.
By the way, we're talking to Brian Leifeste from Northpoint Church. Well, thanks for being on the show. I know that we're just kind of rambling. I'm like kind of
Reminiscing.
going back a days. Absolutely. But
Awesome.
I'm so glad you're on the show. I know that one of the things that I've heard both of you talk about is, faith. Faith in the medical practice is you have to believe no matter what's in front of you, whatever your diagnosis, or however you're feeling at the time, that you're going to get better. And then in our faith, it's kind of the same thing. We may not be able to recognize what's right here, but we have to believe, we have to have faith that a beautiful, wonderful life, whether here or the hereafter, is going to be there for us. I would love to get both you guys' perspectives.
One of the first times you and I were talking, I remember telling you that it's so important to give the person, which would be my patient, faith and believing in themselves that they are going to get better. And when I see a lot of people, they don't know that the expectation is to get them better, pain-free or healthier or walking or doing whatever activity they want to do. Sometimes it's just being able to have a normal day without their pain affecting their mental stability and how they function and their relationship with their wife. And someone needs to be their advocate for knowing that and believing that they can get better. And for me, it's super important for me to share that with my patients, that to give them that belief, because faith is huge in my life. I could not live a day without the Lord. And I talk about him all the time to my patients and like I say, give that faith to them that they're going to get pain-free or better from whatever they're dealing with. And I am a podiatrist, but I joke often that my visits might be 2 or 3 minutes about the foot and the rest of the visit is about the rest of them, whether we're crying together or hugging each other or talking about their mental stability, just because it's the whole person. It's the whole person. And I believe that we need to put that in the faith, put that being faith into the whole treatment. Absolutely.
Very similar for you too, right? I think.
Absolutely. I think I see like the first step is to endeavor to be a dispenser of hope, to people. And hope is it's more than an attitude. It's an expectation for something good. And there's so many people that are dealing without hope, living without hope in our day. It's always been that way, but it seems to be so prevalent in our day. So to dispense hope, and the Lord, the Word says that He's the God of all hope. So if I can encourage people to look towards the Lord Jesus, hope can come, hope can spring up, which can lead to faith. And faith is, as the Scripture says in Hebrews, it's the anchor of our soul. It's where we find strength and stability. And, I was thinking about this time together and in regards to my faith and the fact that, every year I endeavor to evaluate, make goals, make plans. And mine this year was to laugh more. And that's a product, for me, of my faith. I love to laugh. And as the scripture says, merry heart does good like a medicine.
Right.
So if I can encourage somebody, get somebody to laugh a little bit about themselves and others, it's a good thing. So I think that's a big goal in my life this year. Laugh more, read more.
So what brings you joy? What makes you laugh?
What makes family?
Right.
Family. Watching my kids. I have a bunch of them. Better yet, my grandchildren. And just, honestly, spending time with the love of my life. My wife, 39 years, and
congratulations.
We have. Thank you.
Sally's amazing.
She is. I did really well.
You did.
Way above.
You definitely did. You outkicked your coverage for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So, that's a source of joy and just spending time with people, endeavoring to help people. I find joy in helping people.
Right.
Encouraging people and hopefully encouraging them down the faith road a bit.
I love the word joy. I was just sharing that with you the other day. I have a handful of favorite words, Grace being one of them, which my daughter's name is Grace. So she's always like, why am I'm like, oh, no, it's such a good name. Because I'm like, give yourself grace. Like it's one of my, favorite lines. And joy is a new favorite word of mine based on some recent sermons and, learning the difference between joy and happiness and what brings true joy to your life. And a lot of that is serving people and being there for people and showing them the way and loving them. And some people you just need to be kind to and show them love. And I know for myself that brings a lot of joy to my life. But it's just a word that I think is understated. It's not said enough.
Yeah, I would agree with that. If I can sow some joy towards somebody, I'm going to reap some sometime.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, and sowing is it's always better. What did the Lord says in the book of Acts? He said, it's better to give than to receive.
Oh, yeah.
And, I have found that it's pretty good to receive, but it's better to give. So I want to sow when it comes to joy, encouragement, peace, all those things into people's lives.
I'd like for you to speak about Sabbath. This is really recently entered into my life also. When one, like myself, is an entrepreneur and you have a lot of goals and you are used to going just full force. It's part of my nature, it's part of my family, and it's not running away, it's running towards things that I desire. And I do slow down. I do live in the moment for my kids 100%. And I do take time for my friends and I do work out. So I take that time into myself. But I think I used to confuse that time because it was away from work with time to myself and a time of rest, which recently I'm realizing is not. And I had a friend make a statement based on a sermon she heard on Sabbath. And I really started to think about what that really means. And, so one of the comments that she made, I'm not sure if this is true, is that entering in a day of rest to your life will actually add 11 years to your life. And anyway, share with us your thoughts on Sabbath and what that looks like in the world of faith and health, if you could expand on that.
Yeah, I think in regards to faith, I always have seen the principle of the Sabbath is God first or Jesus first. I'm going to give him the first part. And what does that look like? I would define my Sabbath as Jesus. The scripture says, come unto me, Jesus said, all that labor and are heavy laden. Sounds like a lot of our lives. And he said he'd give us rest. Take his yoke upon us, for he is meek and lowly of heart. We'll find rest for our souls. And really, true rest is really of our heart and of the soul. And that affects our bodies, I think. You give yourself to worry, it's not just going to affect your mind. It's going to affect your body, the way you feel. And my goodness, that's a battle in itself for so many. But Sabbath is first. He's going to be first in the day. I'm up to, I'll get in trouble for saying this, 2 days off a week now. For the first part, which is pretty common, there was no days off, you know. But, you know, I am married because I love my wife. She's my best friend. So what does that mean? Time.
You need the time.
Time with her. All those things. Family. I have lots of kids, grandchildren. What do they want? Time. And there's rest in those things. In spending time with my grandkids, there's nothing greater than that.
And then that's got to bring, again, full force back to joy to your life. And if we're going, you know, full force, we don't have those things. So sometimes when we're serving others, we have to remember to take that day of rest for ourselves. And that's what I was recently just explaining to Jody, you know, with lack of better words, is that I feel like if I'm walking in God's path every single day and I'm literally relying on Him to help me through this journey, then I need to rely on Him to give me a day of rest and for me to make sure I'm putting Him first.
Right. So. Right. And it's good to plan those things too.
Absolutely.
Plan for it.
Because exactly.
It'll be quick to, you'll quickly lose it if you don't plan it.
I like
Fantastic. Yeah. For the folks out there that want to find out more about Northpoint Church, tell them how they can find out about you.
We are located on Industrial Drive, 1215A Industrial Drive. We are 17 years old, which is amazing. It seems like just a flash. You can find us on the internet at thenpc.com, etc. We meet on Sundays at 9 and 11 and Wednesdays at 7 p.m. and stuff for families, for youth, children, young adults, older people. That's me. There's stuff for everybody.
Well, thanks for being with us.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
When we get back, we'll introduce you to a New Braunfels health coach that lives her passion by impacting the lives of her clients. You're listening to Caring for New Braunfels with Dr. Jessica Bordon. My Passion is a segment that we do each week that is focused on one of our neighbors that is making a positive impact here in New Braunfels. This week, we are introducing you to health coach Esther Joy Nolte. She tells us about her passion and how that passion is impacting her clients.
I've had quite a few people reach out to me, whether it be just the wife or the husband that have been on program that I've started, and just because they have started, it's changed their love for each other. They've motivated each other to continue on this life journey where they thought was not possible. Every time I see them, they reach out and hug me and thank me, and in tears go, I didn't know this was possible, right? You've given us back our romance. You've given back our love for each other. We actually have sex now. We actually love each other. We support each other. We actually go on walks. To me, it's so rewarding to see other people. I have moms who are actually helping their children, their teen children, actually get fit, get healthier. Now they're actually teaching their children these healthy habits and creating these healthy habits. You don't just do it for yourself, you do it for your entire family. Whether it be your grandparents, your parents, your children, it's creating a healthy community that surrounds you, right? You may take the first step yourself, but it's contagious.
Thank you for listening to Caring for New Braunfels with Dr. Jessica Bordon. Join us next week where we are going to be taking a closer look at our feet. We will also visit Dr. Bordon at her new podiatry office. We will also be educated by our friends at Two Rivers Running and local chiropractic company and find out how they are helping improve people's foot health. Join us next week at the same time right here on KGMB for Caring for New Braunfels with Dr. Jessica Bordon. Remember, it takes so little to bring so much joy to someone's life. Have a great day.